And you know what I see? In this story, of course, I see an amazing Jesus. But I see the 4 friends obviously knew how amazing Jesus was. They were like so assured, 100% sure that Jesus was the answer for their friend, that they were ready to be crazy. TNCC, are you ready to be crazy? Yes. That's not a crazy yes to me. I'm looking for like, woo, okay? Okay, I'm not talking about like crazy, getting kind of spiritually weird, running off and doing weird things. Please don't start like barking like a dog or anything. That is not from Jesus, okay? What I'm talking about is getting radical to bring people to Jesus. Because these friends, it wasn't the lame man who brought himself in, who climbed up on a roof and ripped open the roof and took himself down to Jesus. He needed his friends to do that. In fact, Jesus looked at them and said it was their faith, their confidence in God through him. He said it was the friends who were radically trying to bring their friend to Jesus. Why? Obviously, they knew if the friend gets to Jesus, he will be well. Because if they had any question in their mind, they wouldn't tear apart someone's roof. Hello? Have you ever torn apart someone's roof for no reason? When you are half sure? I mean, if you're, okay, example. Here's an example. I have a house in Mayden. And my house has had some leaking problems, okay, for the past while. Little leak. I've had it fixed, I think 5 times. And every time it looks fixed, and they assure me it's fixed, but it's not really fixed. Because a month later, it starts leaking again. Okay, and I'm getting so frustrated, and I started blaming, all the Indonesian constructors and all these things, and all these things happening. You know what, finally they told me? We have to tear it all apart. Okay, you can't just keep going these little fixes. Obviously, it's not working. There's a point in time where you have to tear the whole roof apart and build it again. Okay? Now, why have I been putting that off? Because you don't want to tear apart your whole roof unless you're really sure that's what you have to do. Are you with me? I'm not going to tear apart my whole roof if I can fix it with a little fix. It's not something that you want to do. Just tear apart your house. Just tear apart a roof unless you're really sure that's what you need to do. These men were so sure, were so adamantly sure that their friend had to get to Jesus, they were willing to tear apart someone else's roof. I'm not saying go crazy and start tearing apart each other's roofs. I really hope you don't take my preaching literally like this. Okay? My point is that when you are so sure Jesus is the answer for your family, friends, co-workers, you will do something radical to bring them to know Jesus. You will be bold enough at least to invite them to church. You will be bold enough at least to pray for them. You will be bold enough at least to do something to bring them to Jesus. And if you're not bold enough to do something, then I think maybe is it because we're only half sure that Jesus could do something for them? Because if you are 100% sure that Jesus is the answer, then you would start doing anything you could to bring them. You know what? To these 4 guys, I'm thinking it's not so easy to climb up on a roof. Not so easy to climb up on a roof carrying a lame man. This is not an easy task. It was not easy to drag their lame friend up on top of the roof. It was not easy to rip and tear open the roof and lower him down. It was not easy. But they did it because they said, if our friend meets Jesus, something will happen. I'm preparing for another event, the end of May, to do a large outreach again with our school. We're targeting up to 1,000 people in an area where there are very few Christians. Do you know that this takes a lot of time, effort, strength, people, finances? Do you know that I have to go through a lot of meetings and send people out to find the place, rent the sound system, put up publicity? It takes a lot of work. I have to train up all my students to do dramas, to pray for the sick. It takes a lot of work. It doesn't just happen like that. Do you know why I go through all these things? I travel and I spend all my time in my meetings and I'm busy and all my finances, everything I have into these things? Because I am so sure that if people meet Jesus, he is the answer and something will happen. So I am willing to do anything I can do to bring people to Jesus. It may take all my strength. It may take all my time. It may take all my finances. I may have to put a lot of work into it. But it's so worth it to see people meet Jesus, to see people saved, to see people healed. I'll even do something crazy. I wish that we get a little crazier sometimes. Why? Because you know when you're willing to be a little crazy? Because you're so sure that when they meet Jesus, something's going to happen.